Today we're going to be looking at the mid-size scooter segment. Is around 150 to 180 cc. It's a very popular segment because it offers a lot of the advantages of round town riding and city usage, day-to-day usage, without the downsides of the bigger scooters, the bigger, heavier scooters, but you get a little bit more power. You can take off from the light, you can beat those old people off the line and get to the front, right? And when you get on the mountain roads, they have a little bit more capability. They have a little bit more turning, handling than the smaller scooters. And when it comes to the straights, you just burn away from the 125s. So I really like this category. And just to let you know how much I like the category, I have two, okay? I have the Tigra 150 and I have the Racing King 180. And I love having both of those bikes. And today, I'm gonna talk about the SYM DRG. So a couple of years ago, 2019, I think, was the first year they came out with the SYM DRG. SYM's scooter line has been kind of stale going up to now. And they came out with this and it's really revived things. I can't go 2 city blocks without seeing them. They're selling like crazy. They're flying off the showroom floors. And I wanted to answer the question, is it better? Does it kill the older bikes? So to introduce the bikes we have today, the SYM DRG, I think it's a 2020 model, and it's got 2,000 kilometers on it. It's basically brand new, completely bone stock. We have the Yamaha Force 2018. Now this was the S-Max. They put some different styling on it. They changed the CVT for a little bit more pep, a little bit more power. And they removed some of the features like ABS and they made it cheaper. It's the value option, but it performs really well. It's one of your, you could call it a benchmark in the category. We have the Kymco Racing King 180. It has the biggest engine of the group, and that's my personal scooter. It is a 2014, so it's a little bit older. Then we have a 2013 PGO Tigra 150cc. And so today we're going to find out which one is fastest. We're going to send it through the acceleration tests. We're going to send it through the handling tests. We're going to check out the size, how the ergonomics, how it fits you, trunk carrying space, everything. We're going to compete these head to head and we're going to let you know. And you know what? In the end, which one do you think is the winner here? Okay? Answer in the comments.
Winterland, tell me all your secrets. Fill me in on your wildest moments. Colored trees, your yellow leaves move me.
After extensive handling, measuring, acceleration tests, everything, we have the data in. And if you want to look at each and every specification, each and every performance value, check out below in the description. I will include the spreadsheet with all the data. Now, I've done my best to have things as scientifically done as possible, but I don't have V-Log equipment. I don't have high-end GPS and timing gear. You know, it's not 100% accurate, but we're trying to make things fair here, all right? So up first is the acceleration test. Everybody wants to know which one is the fastest. We have a cheater, okay? My personal Racing King 180 has a slightly modified CVT. It has some different weights in it. The front variator is a little bit different. So I've modified that slightly. The rear part, the clutch, is completely stock. So it is the king. It's got the CCs, and honestly, the modified CVT performs about what these other bikes do. So when you take off on these other bikes, your DRG, your Tigra, and your Force, the RPMs sit at about 6,000, 7,000 RPMs. That's what you want a small scooter to sit at. Stock, the Racing King 180 sits, when you're going slow, even at full throttle, it sits at 4,000 to 5,000 RPMs. So I've just modified that just a little bit, get it up to 6,000, 7,000 RPMs, and it burns away from 10 kilometers an hour, 20 kilometers an hour, right up to 100. It burns away. And I didn't get to test the top end on all of these bikes, but a couple of them are mine, and I can tell you, the RK keeps going. to an indicated 125 plus, okay? So it's the king, all right? King of acceleration, but it's a cheater, so I'm not gonna count it in the scoring, all right? So next up, you have the Tigra, okay? The Tigra is really quick, from 0 to 60 kilometers an hour. It's the smallest scooter here, and it is the quickest, okay? Now, when you get to going faster, above 90, the Force takes over. The Force is faster on the top end. The DRG is the slowest starting. From 0 to 50, it's the slowest. But it takes over and it passes, just by a hair, passes the Force by 80 kilometers an hour. I didn't get to take it to 100. I didn't get to take it up there. But that's what you have with acceleration. So you can check out all the numbers below. I've got them right there for you. I'll put them on the screen. So next up, we set up a slalom course. Okay, 6 cones in a row, weave back and forth to the end, do a U-turn, come back. The king there is the Tigra. It is the smallest, it feels like the smallest scooter. Physically, it's actually the same length as the Racing King, but it handles lighter, it sits lower, and it just whips through those cones, no problem. It's also my personal scooter I ride every day, so there's an advantage there. The next one we have is the Racing King 180. It feels the worst on center. So when you're flicking it right, left, it feels really slow, but it handles great, and it comes in second. The Force comes in third, okay? On the Force, your body sits way to the front of the bike, and it's strange, okay? It gives you really good front end feel, but the rear hangs out quite a lot. So when you go into that turn, it's almost like driving a pickup truck. You have to wait that extra bit, let the cone get behind you, and then you can turn. And it feels a little bit strange there. But it handles side to side much better than the older scooters. The bar position, putting your weight on the front, slipping the rider onto the front wheel, it works. It works really well. Then last was the DRG, okay? It felt the best in the side-to-side transitions. It's quick, it handles fantastically. The trouble is on the U-turn, it got murdered. I lost so much time on the U-turn. I came back saying, this is weird, I can't feel the front end. Don't count that one. I literally pedaled around the end. Nope. This thing is hard. It's weird. It's weird. So the thing with a scooter is they do not carry a lot of weight on the front tire. And if you open the throttle really hard and turn sharp, then you can push the front end out and you can crash. This is not my scooter. I can't crash it. So when I could not feel what the front end was doing, I had to go slow. In very tight turns, it handles a little bit strange. You could get used to that, okay? It's not a bad handling bike, but the feel is not the best. So the next thing we have is the circle test. So we put a 5-meter circle, and I went round and round this way, left and right. And most of the scooters had a strong advantage going right, because they've got the exhaust on that side, the center stand is on the other side, and the center stand is usually the thing that drags. The fastest one consistently was the Racing King. It has the best clearance, okay? It turns left and right really well. But you feel really far from the front contact patch, but the feel is there. So you can feel how much grip you have. There's just not any weight on the front tire. It is a scooter. That's what you expect from a scooter. Next, we have a tie for second place. We have the DRG and we have the Tigra. The DRG is very even left and right. It goes left and right with good clearance on both sides. Again, I struggled with the feel. I struggled with feeling how much traction I had. So that was a little bit of trouble. Then the Tigra drug very easily turning left. The center stand is kind of low. I drug very quickly. Going right, it had an advantage. It beat the DRG. So, and for me, the feeling is better on the Tigra. And dead last was the Yamaha Force. It sits very low. I tipped it in, immediately going right, immediately going left. You start dragging the center stand straight away. And you're just dragging the whole way around. The clearance is the worst. It feels really good. The front end feel is good, but you reach that limit very, very quickly. Day-to-day usage. If you want to run this thing to the shops every day, well, you know what? I have two of these scooters. I have the Tigra. I have the Racing King 180. And guess which one I pick every single time? The Tigra, okay? It has a lower seat height. It has a 800 millimeter seat height. The Racing King is the tallest at 840. Then the other two are in the middle. The Force is 810, but it's wide. It sits wide. It kind of splays your legs out a little bit. And the DRG is 830. It feels very tall, but it's kind of slim between your legs, and I really like the riding position. Knee room. If you're a taller individual, the Force has the least amount of knee room. The Tigra is fine because you can slide your butt back. If you have a passenger, it's kind of a smaller scooter, not the best in the knee room. The DRG has a decent amount of knee room, and then the footwell kind of goes down, and you can kind of stretch your feet out a little bit. It has a different shaped footwell, and I like it. I don't have any complaints. And unless you're really tall, it's not going to be a problem. It's good, right? But the Racing King 180 is the king of leg room. It's the tallest. You can stretch your legs out. You can stretch your legs forward. You've got knee room in front of you. No problem at all. Now, trunk space is a little bit difficult, okay? In day-to-day usage, the trunk space is important, right? And when you look at it and you load things up, again, I feel like the Racing King 180 wins in this. It looks huge and it feels huge. It's much bigger than the Tigra for sure, because I load both of those scooters all the time. The Force looks really small when you look at it, but when you measure it, it's pretty deep and it's long, and the width is the same on all of them. So it's pretty good, okay? You can probably read into more about volume a little bit. I don't really know the volume differences. The shape on the DRG is different. It's very deep. You could put a full face helmet right down in it, but it's short front to back. And so it's much more of a circular shape that goes straight down. Then we have reliability. I don't have a huge amount of data on that. I can tell you that my two personal scooters are older, and I haven't had hardly any trouble with them, right? They've been great. The Yamaha Force is going to win there. Yamaha builds a fantastic product. And the SYM is still very new. And so I don't really have much data on reliability for that. Now, the PGO and the Kymco, they rattle. Particularly the Kymco, it squeaks and it rattles a lot, okay? And it's kind of annoying. But the newer scooters don't. Is that because they're a newer scooter? Is that because I off-roaded my bikes and took them down bumpy roads? Maybe, okay? So since they're not of the same age, I can't really compare that. But that's information for you. And the last thing I want to talk about is value. Most of these scooters, you can buy them for around $110,000. The Yamaha Force is the value option. It doesn't have the ABS. It doesn't have a lot of the things that the other scooters have, but it is only like $90,000. So when you look at that price and it's $20,000 less, it's hard to say no to that. It's a really good value for the money. So which of these scooters is the best? Well, it's up to you, actually. It's up to the buyer. You know what? The SYM looks the best to me. That's subjective, right? But people love how these things look. That's why they're flying off the shelves. Day to day, I would choose the Tigra. It's just a standard scooter, and it goes through traffic really nice. Day to day, it's great to live with. That's the one I choose. If I'm doing a longer trip, the Racing King 180. And You can't say no to Yamaha reliability. So you choose. Let us know in the comments which one you think won. And join us again next time and subscribe to the channel.
Let me know when I get closer, open up the sky for me. When you
Can't be
say
there.
I'll dig much deeper, I will shout.